Hi guys, this is my video on the purpose of life and all that, like whatever I think, whatever I've thought so far. So the obvious thing is, they say life, all living things are engines of self-preservation, right? So all those things that they do, they are things like eat, move, reproduce and all that, right? So they do all those things to, maintain their mass and survive, right? Survival of them and their genes and all that. So that's what they say it's all about, right? And all these things about human purpose, it's pretty much the same, people do a lot of soul searching and all that, but it's, why do they have to go to find a job, find a soulmate, find a partner, do good, do this, do that and all that. It's all a complex objective of the same basic objectives, which is to find something to eat, find something to focus, find something to, find an optimized environment to, stay in, so that they can preserve themselves and their genes and all that, right? So this is the same thing that's applicable for all animals as well, not just humans. And uh, but does it stop there? So that's the thing. Is everything about self-preservation? Is that the end of logic there about the purpose of life and existence? Um, I think there is something a little bit more to it. So I'm going to try to explain to you what it is. So let's just imagine a single-celled organism, right? Okay, like an amoeba or something. So it does the same things. It goes consumes another piece of organic thing, and then it increases in size because it acquires more protoplasm, and then once it increases in size it splits into two, and then it reproduces. And the argument here is that it reproduces to so that reproduction increases the chances of the survival of the genes. So if the genes is just present in one particular object, if the object goes and gets burnt in fire or something, it's going to go out of existence. But if it reproduces into two, even if one thing might go into a dry or a fire or something and gets burnt, the other thing might go in optimal environment and find food, and it might grow. And so that's the thing. So that's the argument that they say. That's how they say that reproduction helps preserve the uh, preserved organism, right? So now I think it's not just about self-preservation. I'll try to tell you how. Okay, so see, the amoeba is not reproducing throughout, right? For the entire lifetime, it does a lot of other things as well. It goes, it consumes stuff, it excretes them, it makes shit out of it. So it goes around, messes around, and does other things as well. Okay, but before that, okay, let me just say why it doesn't stop just with the self-preservation, right? So why is this reproduction happening? They say it's self-preservation, but let's examine what is happening. Okay, so you have a piece of protoplasm and a nucleus, right? Um, if it so what it is doing is, if the amoeba is already in the optimal size, it wouldn't consume more, right? So the thing is, if it's bigger, there are more chances of it to get caught up in some in a fire or a bat. It won't be that agile. It won't just float around freely if it's got a lot of mass. uh, so what happens is, but it still eats food, right? So it eats food even though it doesn't help out with the self-preservation part. So okay, let's actually just come back to the reproduction part of it. Sorry if I kind of digress a lot, but I swear to God, there's a point to it, so it'll be worth if you listen. Okay, so coming back to the reproduction, it increases in size, and then it splits, right? So if it's already in the optimal size, why would it find more food, increase in size, and split, right? So that's the thing. So but it does that. um, so when it splits, what exactly is it split? Let's just say there was an original original amoeba with matter, protoplasm, which I call matter, which constitutes matter A. Now it's consuming an organic material which consists of matter B, right? So after consuming, the amoeba is now AB amoeba, okay? So now this amoeba splits, okay? And then let's imagine, just happens so that the split is such that exactly A amoeba goes into the first child, and all the B matter goes into the second child, okay? So it splits. The original A matter goes into one child and the B matter goes into the other child, okay? So the first child, the A child, is, it's pretty much the same as its parent, right? And the B child, it's pretty much the same matter as the organic thing that was floating around, the food that was floating around before, right? So the only difference is the B has gotten some of the genetic material from A, okay? So in this whole process, what exactly has the original amoeba done? The original amoeba has remained the same. The only thing is it has created a B amoeba which has got some genetic material in it, of which belongs to A, okay? So we cannot say that the original matter has been preserved, okay? Because what it has done, it has consumed a new matter and then turned it out into something else, okay? So this does not in any way help in the preservation of matter A, okay? So if it is not the matter that the living thing is trying to preserve, what is it trying to preserve? Is it the genetic code that goes on with the nucleus, right? So self-preservation, right, of an organism. Now we've established that self-preservation of organism doesn't mean self-preservation of the matter. And now the question is it the self-preservation of the genetic code, right? So, and if it's self-preservation of the genetic code, nothing would have evolved, right? They say evolution is a good thing. You have to lose all your bad traits and acquire new traits. You have to lose all the vestigial organs. You probably hope that your sons and your daughters are more intelligent and more good looking and more healthy than you, right? More fitter than you. So let's say this amoeba, what does the original amoeba wish for the B amoeba? Does it wish that the B amoeba has the exact same copy of the nucleus of A, or does it wish that the B amoeba is has a copy of has a genetic code which is slightly superior to this one? It's the same as you wishing what genetic code your son has. Do you want the exact same genetic code as yourself for your son, or would you like your son to be better than you? Obviously better, right? So if the parent amoeba wants the child amoeba to have better set of genes and mutate and evolve and acquire a better set of skills, you cannot say that it is about self-preservation of genetic code either, right? So it's not about the self-preservation of genetic code either. So self-preservation of what is happening here? It's not the self-preservation of matter, because the whole process of reproduction is just happening. The end result is just B amoeba becoming something, the B matter becoming into B amoeba, right? So it's not self-preservation of matter, it's not self-preservation of genetic code, right? So that's why I say the whole process of this reproduction and this life, everything that organisms do, it's not just about self-preservation. There is a higher purpose. Self-preservation is one of the things, just like is an objective, just like finding food is an objective, one of the basic objective. Self-preservation is a basic objective, but it's not the purpose, right? The purpose, I will get to it right now, okay? Purpose of life. So we have the same amoeba, right? And you say, okay, it's got protoplasm and some proteins and all those things, DNA and right, uh, let me not just show off my knowledge of molecular biology, but okay, let's just say it's made up of molecules, atoms, and all that, and the atoms in further are made up of electrons and photons, and then they further are based on fermions and quarks and all those things. So all these quarks and fermions, and these are the ultimate basic blocks of everything, right? Um, what they say is, now there's actually two theories about the string theory and versus the ether theory. That's one of my previous books. If you manage to read it, what it is either in the string theory or in the ether theory, all these are the quarks and the leptons are nothing but they just vibrations, energy vibrations that makes an impact on something else by changing the position of something else, by disturbing something else. The purpose of the leptons, quarks, these fundamental particles are nothing but they are energy. They are manifestations of energy. They are complex manifestations of energy in different ways. And the purpose of this energy or force is to push or pull something else and make an impact on it. Okay, so it's all just energy and force, and force by definition is something that makes pushes or displaces something else, right? So the purpose of the force is to make an impact on something else. It will be kind of bad if the force is stuck in a stationary wave and it's really just oscillating in the same position. So force is oscillating in the same position and forming a static wave. I guess that's what constitutes a kind of a static particle. But the ultimate aim of a force is to make a larger impact, not just being concentrated in one particular area in space, but the aim of the force is to go and displace as much particles, as much stuff in space. So that is the purpose of the force. It is to make an impact on other stuff in space, right? Displace them, move them here, move them around, or do something. Any force for that matter, any sort of nuclear or gravity or all those particles that gives those force. The purpose of the force is to make an impact on other things, right? Now, and by the same way, the purpose of all the life force that's present in an amoeba is also to make an impact on surrounding things, right? So here's why living things are more important than non-living things. Let's say a group of molecules have manifested in the form of a living thing, but some other group of molecules have manifested in the form of a stone. Okay, which one do you think is going to move around and make a lot of impact on the space surrounding it? All the forces and the molecules, all the molecules and the forces which is trapped inside a stone, or all the molecules and forces which is trapped inside the living object? Obviously the living object is going to make a lot more impact than a non-living thing, right? So that's why it is better for a bunch of molecules to manifest themselves as a living thing rather than a dead one. And it will be better if the living thing has higher functions, like being able to move, being able to push something, being able to corrode something, or being able to think and go conquer larger spaces than just what's present on Earth, move to go do stuff, right? I mean, in the enormity of space, it's all very small, but you considering the smallest amount of space, this is all a huge impact, right? Like me just buying stuff and making a statue out of a stone, or building a huge building, or planting trees, or making air move in this direction, or bombing cities, or killing other living things, or all these are all the impacts that the life force trapped within a living thing can do. right? The life force trapped within a non-living thing cannot achieve as much compared to the life force that's trapped amongst a living thing. So the purpose of life is to make an impact, any sort of impact on surrounding stuff. Like I said, whether you go fuck someone, create a new life, I mean that's obviously more of an impact, right? Bringing in another life and shaping it and all that. And it's not just about fucking and bringing life. You can also teach someone and change the way they walk. Like if they're going in one direction, you can say something to them and make them walk in another direction. Even that is an impact that you've done in this world. And like I said, you can build stuff, you can make stuff, you can make light come out of the electric bulb, or you can make water flow through the pipes. You can do this, do that, create a forest, destroy a forest. All these things are the impact that you can make, the physical impact. Now it's again, see, it's not just about physical impact alone. I mean, the ultimate thing is the physical impact, but a lot of things is sort of convoluted into, I mean not convoluted, but it's sort of packaged and derived into an intellectual impact as well. For example, it's like the miners, right? The miners are the guys who are physically going and digging out the earth and bombing it and all that. All the laborers are the ones who are doing. All the laborers are the ones who are constructing the bridge and all that. But it doesn't mean they are the only ones who are making impact. It's like they won't be doing it if the guy sitting on top of the chain, the guy who has the money, who tells them to do it, if he doesn't tell them, the laborers would not be doing it, right? So the guy on the top of the chain, either the kings who have done it before or the CEOs of the companies, or they are the ones who are making shit happen. But it doesn't mean the laborers have no credit to themselves. It all depends on the level of thought put into it, right? So the CEO can say just build a bridge, but the engineer would have also need to do a lot of his thinking to design the bridge and design the specs and come up with the plan and everything. And then even the laborers also doing a little bit of thinking on their part to implement it best. So intellectually everyone is having an impact, is doing their bit to create the bridge. And so it doesn't just stop with the physical labor alone, and so yeah, and so I've actually made, you have to sort of read my other blogs saying why there is sort of a disconnect between pleasure and impact. So usually the things that gives us pleasure are the things, I mean whenever we make an impact on something, that actually gives us pleasure, okay? But the brain is not 100% efficient, it's very inefficient. So for example, you get pleasure out of just whacking off to porno, and you also get pleasure out of I guess having sex with someone, maybe just a casual one night stand or something. And you can also have pleasure out of having sex with someone and impregnating someone. And yeah, okay, so you probably feel the same amount of physical pleasure while doing this. Maybe not that much when I don't know, when you're whacking off something, but let's just compare between one night stands and another thing, right? So maybe the one night stand is even more pleasurable for you, right? But the thing is that doesn't have a big impact as actually impregnating someone and bringing a child into this world, right? So you experience the same pleasure, but impregnating the someone, that is more of an impact. So not all pleasure is directly proportional to the impact. So there are inefficiencies. So by this what I mean to say is people can try to lead a pleasurable life, or people can but pleasure isn't everything. It's like the end of the day, it's the impact that counts, right? I mean, you kind of okay, I'll just try to make it short, right? There's three things: your skill level, three things with which you can compare yourself against the other person. your skill level, your pleasure level, and your impact level. Okay. Skill level is something, if you're inherently more good looking or intelligent than someone else, right? That's your skill level. You can compare yourself with some other person and feel jealous or envious or happy about yourself. And the pleasure is is the having the pleasure. So let's say you're Brad Pitt, let's say you're Iron Man, you can fight, you're very intelligent, you have money, you are good looking, etc., etc. Let's say you're Iron Man, and but if they put you in prison, you're not going to be getting a lot of pleasure or making a lot of impact, right? So having more skill doesn't always mean that you get more pleasure or impact on life. And like I said, so having more pleasure doesn't mean you were made an impact. Or like guys like Martin Luther King or Gandhi, they probably were distressed all their lives, but they were but they have made a bigger impact, right? But I would say that what we have to do is, as human beings, we all think about all this stuff. We worry, do this, do that, right? But like I said, see, if you're not able to make an impact, it's not the end of the day. Like I said, you could be Iron Man, and you could kill someone accidentally, and you're in jail, right? So it's just luck. It's like a game of poker. You need both skill and luck. 70% skill, 30% luck, and everyone has their skill level. If you're just unlucky, you're just gonna go to jail and not make an impact. So it's like poker. You should not, just because you lost, and it doesn't mean you're on the bottom. So you have to take that into consideration, and so you shouldn't be too bad if you haven't made so much of an impact, or had so much pleasure or something like that, right? um, so what I'm saying is, it's all about peace of mind, right? It's all about feeling positive and happy, all about, right? So what you have to do is, it's like I said, guys like Gandhi and Martin Luther King, they've made a big impact, but they are probably distressed all their lives, right? So these guys, the guys who actually make an impact, they should think about it, reflect, and derive pleasure out of it. They should, you can't. It's like people always first aim to accomplish something, right? And after accomplishing it, they reflect on it, and they feel the pleasure for some time. So that's how it always is, right? So if you made an impact, you should take time to reflect on it, and feel happy about it. So that's the advice I would say, for the guys who think, oh, they're such geniuses, but they're not getting laid, they're not very socially, they're kind of socially awkward, even though they have real intelligence and skills and all that. If you think you're one of those guys, you should probably just reflect on these things, and um, try to have a happy or peace of mind state, happy state of mind, whatever. Right, so I would urge you to sort of look into my blogs a bit more. I've explained it a lot more over there, because I want to make these videos short, so that it's people watch it. So yeah, I would put the link in the in the description section, so do check it out, and leave if you have any comments.